there is no better place to be come tournament time than Cary, North Carolina, site of this year's NCAA Women's College Cup. We are on to our second semifinal of the evening. The BYU Cougars, a 1 seed, taking on the 2nd seeded Stanford Cardinal. And as for each team's mindset heading into this match, let's bring in Marion Crowder.
Well, it's no surprise when the program standard for Stanford is to be here at the College Cup. It's one of their goals every single season. But that mentality is echoed in their opponents. The BYU Cougars returning 13 players from that 2021 team who lost in the national championship. Jamie Shepard, midfielder for the BYU Cougars, told me it is a completely different experience. 2021, we were happy to be here. This year, we expect to win.
Well, in 2021, Marion BYU was eliminated in the final on penalty kicks by Florida State. The Seminoles await the winner of this one. Here is the starting lineup for Jen Rockwood's BYU Cougars. It has been consistent throughout the tournament. You see Jamie Shepard highlighted there in the middle. The glue of this team. One of the key pieces with all of those attacking players around her. And for the Stanford Cardinal, a very confident group coming in under Paul Ratcliffe. And in the middle, keep your eye on Shea Harvey. Again, she, similarly to Shepard on the other side, is the one that allows that offense to click and be aggressive in front of her. Off we go from Cary, North Carolina. Let's love the game a second time tonight. The Stanford Cardinal wearing white, the BYU Cougars all in blue. Jen Hildreth, Lori Lindsay, Marion Crowder, glad to have you with us for this semifinal. A spot in the championship on Monday on the line to face Florida State. Olivia Smith-Griffiths with the throw-in, a 5th year. There is so much experience across this BYU team. Not just seniors, but super seniors abound. And they're gonna come at you right off the opening kickoff. Allie Fryer on the ball now. Kendall Peterson, good looking ball across, forcing the defense to make a play. Shepard with a touch. Stanford just trying to get a hold of the ball. They do now. Ivani Brandt on the back line looking forward. Jasmine Ike has some flair up top for the Cardinal. Leading scorer, 11 goals, 10 assists for Ike. Allie Montoya! Wow! What a start for Stanford!
Well, this is one of the keys for Stanford throughout this game. They knew that BYU was going to press, send numbers forward, so the direct ball over the top was going to be on all game long. Ike doing such a good job to be the outlet, and then the composure to realize that BYU has numbers back, hold up the ball, allow for Montoya to join into the game, and then what a finish that is. Just catches Hernandez off her line, floats it into the far post, and just like that, the Stanford Cardinal up 1-0 in these opening first few minutes.
Just like that, indeed. 2nd minute, fastest goal of the season for Stanford.
Goal scored by number 3, Allie Montoya. Assisted by number 12, Jasmine Ike.
Ike picking up the assist, her 11th of the season. Named a Pac-12 Midfielder of the Year and a first-team All-American, setting up that opening goal. Well, BYU is no stranger to being down. Not that that is what you would ever choose, but certainly this team has proven that there is no deficit too large.
Well, it's an excellent start, and it's excellent awareness from Stanford to understand where the space is, know that at times they're going to have to bypass the pressure, because this is a BYU team that will send 7, 8 players forward to press, try to lock in the opposition. Well, the space is in behind when that is the case, and Ike did such a good job to get on the end of it, hold up play, allow for more to join into the attack, and you can ask for a better finish, a better start to the game with that finish from Montoya.
Yeah, I don't imagine this changes anything in terms of the way that BYU wants to play, that aggressive pressing style. And I mentioned the deficit, and remember, we just showed you the highlight in the quarterfinal to get here. BYU down 3-0 in the first 20 minutes against North Carolina. Came back to win 4-3.
Yeah, in some ways, Jen, they are built for this now because they know they can come back from those types of deficits. Do you want to put yourself in these positions? Absolutely not. And in fact, Jennifer Rockwood spoke to us about starting fast and making sure that they don't concede an early goal. Well, they have, so now how do they respond? Stay patient, make sure they continue to play their game. But this is an interesting matchup because you are going to see Stanford push the pace as well. Both want to keep possession, so who can find a bit more balance in the way that they attack is going to be key throughout.
Doms under immediate pressure from Brecken Muzingo. Well, Jen Rockwood is not going to be able to tick that box of a strong start, but as we've said, they've been there before. BYU has actually allowed 5 goals in the opening 2 minutes this season. And they come in with a record of 22-3, finished second in the Big 12 in their first year moving to that conference, so they went unbeaten in conference play. Wound up finishing as runner-up in the Big 12 tournament. Doms unleashes, make it 2 for the Cardinal!
Well, Maya Doms is certainly the Stanford Cardinal X factor in the midfield. She got the game winner against Nebraska in the quarterfinal to send them into this match, and then just too much time and space for the quality that she has. Gets herself on the half turn, takes the space, and then, much like we saw Montoya, she just unleashes a shot from distance to that top corner. 2-0 Stanford here in the College Cup.
Make it the 2 fastest goals that Stanford has scored all season. An absolutely blistering start for the Cardinals.
Yeah, and feels too much or too eerily like that UNC game for this BYU team. 2 unanswered goals and just such a fast start, dominant start right now for the Stanford Cardinal.
A dominant? Sorry. My Doms tacking on that second goal in the 4th minute. She led me there, I couldn't let it go. Elise Evans in the back, 13 All-American for the Cardinal this season. Mia Buda, a freshman, consistently starting along the back line for Paul Ratcliffe. Joelle Jungtu, another freshman who's made her way into the starting lineup more frequently throughout this tournament. Are we going to see some of that vaunted BYU offense come at you in so many different ways? Olivia Wade-Katoa, number 10 in the middle, certainly one to watch, an All-American for the Cougars this season. Kendall Peterson just being pounded defensively by Montoya, scored the first goal of this match. Ryan Campbell picks it up. No chance there for Brecken Muzingo, first team All-American for BYU this season, to have a shot at it. Will BYU be rattled by this fast start from Stanford? Yes, they've been there before, but also you notice the whole team got together and huddled after that second goal. Regroup early in this one.
And the response defensively is going to be important for this BYU team, just making sure that they stay compact between the lines. Too much time and space for Maya Doms to be able to get turned, get her head up, take that shot from distance, find the top corner, and they're gonna have to be able to condense the space, stay tight between the lines, and then work into the attack, because, as we said, both of these teams, they want to keep possession, but they also want to press, they want to get numbers forward, so it's gonna be about who takes their chances. Well, right now, that has been Stanford 2 in the first couple minutes to put themselves up in this game, but high stakes for this BYU team. So it's going to be about staying together, building in, and as we heard Jennifer Rockwood say at halftime in that North Carolina game, she just wrote 75 up on the board. One goal at a time. That's how many they had scored. It's going to be about one goal at a time in this game as well to get themselves back into it.
Yeah, I love that story. Just reminding her team what they're capable of, and you know, that's a veteran coach for you, her 29th season. I remember the last College Cup, wasn't that long ago, 2021, when BYU was in it, their first ever appearance. And she said there were points in her career where she started to doubt, are we ever really going to get there and take that next step? Well, the first step was getting here. The next step, obviously, winning it all.
Well, Jen, similarly to that UNC game where they kept getting scored on, but Jennifer Rockwood never seemed like she felt her team was out of it. That is the exact same confidence that I'm seeing from her on the sideline right now. There's a little bit of deflation in the players on the bench, but she didn't go frantically scribble. She didn't gather up with her coaching staff. She has this sense of confidence that she wants her players to gain from her and translate that into the field.
Yeah, that means so much, doesn't it? As a player, you just have that confidence coming from the sideline. Cougars have a freshman in goal, Lynette Hernez. Will her confidence be shaken? Not your average freshman, though. 21 years old, Hernez. Spent a year at Washington State, didn't play, took a mission trip, so a lot of experience in goal in different ways. Here comes Peterson for BYU, all the way across. Mazingo has some time. Mazingo putting it right back in the fray. Laveni Vaca, one of the leaders on the back line for BYU, a senior, a Herman semifinalist. You'll hear that Herman semifinalist sprinkled throughout this broadcast a couple of times. Mazingo as well. $14 goals, 15 assists for Brecken Mazingo. I mean, some of the numbers for these BYU players individually are just jaw-dropping.
Yeah, it's incredible, and that's what we're going to have to see for them to get themselves back into this game, working together, but also utilizing their individual talents. Mazingo being one of those on the far side. She does like to cut inside to her left foot, but doing a good job already, staying wide, trying to get herself isolated because she will go to inline, and that's the variety, much like we talked about in the first game for Florida State. The threats that they have going forward, well, BYU has that as well.
Worked once, didn't work twice. The flick from behind. Shot from distance. Hey, it worked on the other end. BYU not afraid to give it a go. 10 goals for Allie Fryer this season in her sophomore year. Interesting that neither of these teams won their conferences in the regular season. Maybe it gave them a little bit of a chip on the shoulder. Hard to figure out how you might have that if you're a team like Stanford, who is, oh, by the way, unbeaten. But that is one way to do it. Peterson. It's past the first offender, still has it at her feet. Ellie Bourne kept it in, but all of her momentum took her too far off to the side to do much with it. There's Vaca. Jasmine Ike just seems to be everywhere. She and Maya Adams both for Stanford.
Well, Ike is going to have to be everywhere because she's going to have to be that outlet. As soon as the ball's turned over, can they find her defeat or in behind, much like we saw in the first goal that Ike assisted on for Montoya. She was the outlet going in behind, and with the amount of numbers that we're seeing already in the response for BYU, they're gonna push the pace, get numbers forward. That opens up the space in behind. But so far, so good for this BYU team to start to keep possession, look for their moments. We've seen them get wide, seen them float the balls in. Gonna have to connect their passes, though, to be clinical in and around the 18-yard box.
There is Ike talking to her yesterday. She let us know she is an artist, does sneaker art, and certainly feels she brings some of that creativity and flair to her game on the field. Doms, Paul Ratcliffe telling us, might be the most competitive player he has coached. And you think about some of those players that have come through this Stanford program that has won 3 NCAA championships. It's pretty impressive. BYU Cougars starting to find their groove in the offense. Fryer at the end line. Did well to get it out of the corner.
And this is where Shepard, number 12 in the midfield for BYU, is going to be so important in this game. Her positioning just in front of that back four for this BYU Cougars team to be able to regain possession, as we're going to see a ball played to that far side, but to be able to regain possession, clean up any of the loose balls, and then also just slow things down. Mozingo looks to go herself as well.
Tough starts in both the last match for BYU, although that certainly ended up in their favor, beating North Carolina 4-3. And then tonight, going down 2 goals in the first 4 minutes. And they come back again. Ali Montoya, the sophomore out of Los Altos, California, already made her mark in this match. But now Stanford loses it. Fryer has been around the ball an awful lot for BYU, and they have been in their attacking third.
But we're seeing why Stanford is one of the best defenses in college soccer. Tight as a unit, defending front-footed, not allowing a ton of time and space for the 2 front runners of Foligno and Fryer for BYU.
Kendall Peterson with the throw. Smith Griffiths, and it's wide. Ryan Campbell well aware of her placement of the ball. Pac-12 goalkeeper of the year. Number 1 in the NCAA in goals against average. Individually, Stanford as a team, number 2. And this is an incredible stat, one that I know this Stanford team is so proud of. They brought it up a couple of times. We talked to them yesterday. The fact that they have not allowed more than 1 goal in 35 straight games. Not at all this season, and you have to go pretty far back last season. In fact, it was their last loss. It coincides with this unbeaten streak that they're on. It was a 2-1 loss at USC, September of 2022. Peterson falls down on the ground. Jonathan Weiner, the referee, keeps the whistle in his mouth.
Well, I'm not sure how that wasn't a foul, and well done for Peterson on this near side, and right now is having her way with Montoya. Excellent finish for Montoya on one end, but she's been asked to do a lot of defending since then, and Peterson should continue to look to find the ball, get into the attack. Going to be an important piece on this near side, and should have been a card or a foul in my opinion.
Kelly Bourne back up to Bella Foligno's had quite an NCAA tournament. 3 goals in the tournament for Foligno, including a brace in that come from behind win against North Carolina. Mozingo so composed, waiting for Smith Griffiths to get to it. Ball does get into the area. Mozingo, diagonal ball. Evans gets ahead to it right around the penalty spot. get the feeling BYU right now just probing, looking at how they can move around this Stanford defense, where the space is going to be. Laveni Vaca is strapping the two center backs for the Cougars. Peterson, left-footed ball, bounces out of bounds. I want to tell you about our featured matchups on Sunday for the Jimmy V Women's Classic. First, #1 South Carolina taking on Duke at 1 Eastern. Boy, North Carolina gave South Carolina a pretty good run last night. That'll be followed by #11 UConn taking on 10th ranked Texas at 3 on ABC, and then 16th ranked Ohio State against #20 Tennessee at 5 Eastern on ESPN. Of course, you can find all of those games on the ESPN app. A lot of possession here for BYU since conceding those 2 early goals. Olivia Wade-Katoa had the game winner for BYU to get them here to the College Cup, their second in program history, their second in the last 3 years. Ali Montoya.
And great switch from Montoya just to be able to buy a little bit of time, create a little bit of possession for the Stanford team. Is a bit too aggressive on that far side, but that is going to be the name of the game for this Stanford team, because defending a lot since going ahead the 2 goals, can they find those moments when they can build into the attack, create a little bit of possession for themselves, because otherwise it's going to be a long night defending the BYU Cougars. And then for BYU Cougars, it's about decision-making and patience, letting the game come to them, not forcing the issue, waiting for the space to develop and open up, most likely in the wide areas with how deep Stanford's sitting right now.
Lori, that's exactly right. That's exactly what Paul and his coaching staff are down here telling his players on the Stanford team. Can you stay together? Can you keep the game smaller? They all know how dangerous BYU can be with a lot of space in front of them. Every single one of their players can hurt you 1v1. So that is the direction right now to his team, is stay the line, keep it strong, and keep it tight.
Brecken Mozingo curling around the defender, looks for the corner, stays in play. But yeah, safe to say, Marion, I don't think anybody in Stanford feels comfortable even with the 2-goal lead, not knowing what this BYU offense can do.
Yeah, we just saw Mozingo on that far side get isolated. That's what she'll be looking for all night long, creating those 1v1 duels, looking to see if she can serve balls in or cut inside, get on her left foot, unleash one herself. But the wide areas could be crucial for BYU to get one back, cut this lead in half.
Laveni Vaca, out to Ellie Boren. Wade-Katoa. Took 2 or 3 defenders there from Stanford to keep her contained. Tenth meeting all-time between these 2 schools. Stanford leading the all-time series 5-3-1. Told you about that last meeting in the NCAA tournament last year. Second round, it went to penalties with BYU advancing after a 1-1 draw.
Well, we've seen Jung, we've seen Doms pick up some really good spaces to be able to open up this game, be an outlet to keep possession, just heavy in the end with the final pass. Here's the go-ahead goal from Montoya. And it all started with Ike being the outlet, patience, allowing for Montoya to build in and score that go-ahead goal. And then Maya Doms, my goodness, too easy defensively from a BYU Stanford, but Maya Doms, if you give her that time and space, she's gonna take it, and that's exactly what she did. 2-0 Stanford in these opening minutes. And the majority of their play has been defensively since then.
Mozingo, always looking to create. UCLA transfer. 4th year with BYU, the Cougars punched out by Campbell. Wow. I mean, that came in with some pace.
Yeah, it certainly did, and they're not afraid. And this is one thing that Jennifer Rockwood talked about. Shooters shoot. We practice it all the time in training, and we're seeing Fryer right there just go. She gets all of it. But it's the little nuances in this game, because she did have runners inside the 18-yard box. Is the better option? Is she better served by laying that one across? Does all the work defensively, gets her head up, decides to go herself. That one hits off on the outside of the crossbar.
Yeah, I thought actually Campbell got a punch to it, but that was the crossbar helping her out. Post a little bit.
And it is a balance about finding those moments. Do I lay it off, be a bit unselfish, or go myself? And I'm thinking the better option was to play that into the 6-yard box where you have runners, really force Campbell to have to come up with a save. But you like the aggression, you like to be on the front foot if you're BYU, and the response we've seen so far.
This offense is going to create shots. They lead the nation with 21 shots per game. Idams back to help out defensively. Has added a little more defending to her role and her positioning this year for Stanford. Cardinal give it away. And the Cougars make them pay, not initially. Mozingo. Fryer trying to figure out what to do with that high bouncing ball. Mozingo looking for space, finds it with Peterson. Left-footed shot is blocked by Evans. Peterson, a 6-year at BYU in the NBA program. Mozingo laying it off, telling Smith-Griffiths to come on and get it.
Well, I know it's in the DNA of BYU to go quick, go with numbers. But this game might call for them to be even more patient. Can they swing it? Even if they find space initially, if the ball's not on.
It's on here! Mozingo.
Best opportunity of the game. And
yeah.
What a ball that is from Mozingo. Just a pick out Foligno, who tucked inside the 6-yard box. You've got numbers checking in. Mozingo's picked up some really good spaces early on in this game. And my goodness, that does not miss by much. Just trying to glance that into the far post, but good weight on it, so all Foligno has to do is just get a little something on it. Just trickles wide of the post by inches.
Foligno checking out Ellie Walbrook, another UCLA transfer, but in her first year with the Cougars, so part of that national championship for the Bruins last year. She checks in along with Zoe Jacobs. And Walbrook has been a big part of that bench scoring. She was named to the Big 12 second team. 11 goals, 4 assists, just 1 start for her on the season. Some space to work with. Wade Katoa. Gonna do a double take there for a second. The bun came out. The ponytail flowing now behind Olivia Wade Katoa. A lot of possession here for BYU. Perhaps Stanford okay with that, but moving a little bit as there has been space. And think about that shot from Foligno, didn't miss by much.
Jen, that's exactly what they don't want to do. They're not okay with that kind of possession. It's being urged from the coaching staff right now to please keep the ball. And the hardest thing about playing this BYU team is it almost feels like a relentless, suffocating amount of pressure when they get in this flow and in this rhythm in the attack. And what that does is it just continuously drops the back line. And by the time that they get a clearance ready, they just want to clear the lines. They don't want to try to connect the passes. And that right now is what needs to flip for Stanford, is that ability to not just clear the first pass, but find feet and find your outlet.
We'll see how they defend this free kick now, Marion. A lot of bodies in the box. Ball trickling towards the end line. Does it go all the way out? It does, but it's a goal kick.
Well, with Walbrook in the game now, it's good service from Mozingo just to float it in right into the mix. You mentioned the amount of bodies, Jen. That's going to cause a scramble, but with Walbrook in the game, get the ball wide, serve balls into the box, get numbers around, because she's great at holding up the ball, but also can get on the end of it. A lethal finisher if you get her in front of goal. But just going back to Marion's point in terms of Stanford and keeping possession at times, still knock it long and then allow your team to be able to gain some territory higher up the field. That's what led to that go-ahead goal with Montoya. Ike doing a good job of getting the ball in behind and then holding up play. So it might not be defeat initially, it might be in behind, gain territory, and then build from there higher up the field.
Yeah, much of this match has been played here in Stanford's defensive third. Really, not exactly since the second goal, which was in the 4th minute, but certainly I would say at least. Yeah, it hasn't. All right. I didn't want to.
And that was going to be the challenge, right? For the
Stanford
team is how do they withstand this pressure, knowing that BYU is going to be relentless. And this isn't going to be just this first 45. It is going to be all 90 minutes long. So they're going to have to find their moments on when to be able to get a hold of the ball and not have to defend and chase the majority of this game.
BYU out shooting Stanford 5-2. Of course, you look at the scoreboard, you see the efficiency rating for the Cardinal, very good right now. 2 shots, 2 goals.
One great organization, Jen. Right there is a wonderful example of Stanford and how they can control the ball, control this game without the ball. As soon as it's played back, they step the back line up, condense the field, and then when there's no pressure on the service, drop. Evans does such a good job. Wesley as well, just dropping, winning the ball, and then winning the second. Now, can they build off of that? Because it's excellent movement defensively, condensing the space when needed and dropping off when there's no pressure.
Wesley, one of the leaders and experienced players on this Stanford team, along with Maya Downs, both of those players a part of that 2019 national championship for the Cardinal. But Maya Downs telling us quite a different feeling now. And she was just a freshman then. Last time the Cardinal won it, now really feeling a great deal of ownership with this team.
And said she felt lucky, grateful to be starting that game. This one, much different situation. Leader, X factor, seen that already.
But certainly some cause for concern for Stanford here. Yes, a scoreline in their advantage, but if you just tuned into this match and you didn't look at the score, you probably feel like BYU is a team in control because they have been in control since going down 2-0 in the first 4 minutes. And Jen Lockwood not afraid to go to her bench. Aaron Bailey now coming in. Allie Fryer coming off. Rachel McCarthy also came on. Senior out of American Fork, Utah, 5th-year player. Cardinal no shots because they haven't had the ball. Haven't been able to keep the ball. Free kick here for the freshman, Mia Buda. Came to Stanford out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Was named to the Pac-12 third team and all-freshman team. One of 3 early enrollees for Stanford this year, something that had never happened in the history of the program before this season. Andrea Kitahara will leave the throw. Chance for BYU in transition. Walbrook stopped in her tracks.
Well, an excellent work from Shea Harvey out of the midfield. And this is a player that typically plays more of an attacking. Going to see one that goes high, wide over the crossbar. But this is a player, deep lying midfielder for Stanford that typically plays higher up the field, but showing us why Paul Ratcliffe feels like she has all the tools to be such a wonderful number 6, just screens the back line, covers a ton of ground in those central areas.
Does a lot of the dirty work, doesn't always get the attention, and now right back on it is Walbrook and BYU. Walbrook turns and fires over toward Mozingo. Mozingo cuts it back. Still not ready to take the shot. Didn't like what she saw. Wait, Katoa, it's blocked. It bounces in the area. Walbrook will at least make Campbell make a play on it. Tomorrow on ESPN, it's the Legends of Basketball Las Vegas Invitational for some men's college hoops. USC faces off against number 11 Gonzaga at 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific. And of course, you can catch all the action on the ESPN app. Not a good ball sent out of the back by Hernez. Thankfully, she gets it back.
And sometimes that's a challenge when you have a goalkeeper, Hernez, that's not seeing a ton of the play, not getting a lot of touches. There's an errant ball played out of the back, risky in the end. Almost picked off and allowing for Stanford to attack.
Walbrook. Really defended well. And now there is a foul called. You hear the crowd, you feel the crowd. This one was a sellout. So these two teams may be coming a long way to get here to Cary, but they travel well.
Well, right now, I think we're definitely seeing from Stanford why they've only allowed one or fewer goals in the last 35 matches, because this back four, along with Harvey centrally and Doms at time, who just steps back and sits next to Harvey in the midfield, are doing such a good job of limiting clear opportunities for BYU. And for BYU, it's going to be about not getting frustrated, continuing to probe, continuing to connect your passes, and then press in these moments to see if you can force a turnover.
BYU has had the quantity of shots, but the quality not quite where it needs to be to beat this Stanford defense. All the momentum in favor of the Cougars, but what to show for it? Nothing so far in this one. Another sub on the way from the sideline for BYU. Brecken Mozingo will get a break. Just over 10 minutes to go in the first half. Tara Warner, coming on in her place. I think you got a glimpse of what you can get from Brecken Mozingo, but she too, I think, will want better than what she was able to create so far in this match.
Well, there's not going to be a ton of time and space, and Stanford's doing such a good job. As soon as a player gets on the ball, they're gaining territory, but they're also getting tight pressure on the ball. It's limiting the amount of time and space that these BYU players can have. So even if they do find space out wide, there's still a player on them. They're willing to go 1v1 defensively and do whatever they can to get cover behind the ball, make it predictable for themselves. So that's where patience, that's where a bit more incisiveness comes in for BYU in the attack.
No foul called, Stanford coming away with it, but they don't keep it for long. Shepard. Tough ball for Walbrook to contain. Stanford has a sub at the ready. And now Erica Grillione, a freshman out of Roseville, California, Pac-12 all-freshman team selection, will come on, replacing our first goal scorer, Ali Montoya. Job well done but the job not done, as Stanford well knows they still lead it 2-0. That was our score after the first 4 minutes of this match. Still it stands despite BYU adding up the shots, 7 so far in this first half, although still below their average considering they average 21 a game. Jacobs with the throw. Wade Katoa knew right where the space was. Smith-Griffiths. It's easy to forget she's a right back, Olivia Smith-Griffiths, as often as she is up into the attack. Well, coverage of NCAA championships continues with the Women's College Cup Final. That is Monday, December 4th at 6 p.m. Eastern, right here on ESPNU. For more information on the NCAA Women's College Cup, log on to ncaa.com, the official home for all 90 NCAA championships. Florida State Seminoles have already booked their spot into the final. ACC representative in the final once again, as so often we have seen. Stanford, of course, team that will be coming to the ACC. Just adding to the caliber of that conference on the women's soccer side. BYU still coming at you. One move, one shot. Wesley fell down, but Campbell was there to back her up.
Well, and that tells the story, Jen, right now of this BYU attack, because here's the isolation, go in the goal, able to break free, cut your first defender. The better option is lay that across, lay that back, because you have runners right on top of the 18-yard box. Instead, you have a defender that's making it predictable. The coverage that we talked about, initial pressure, coverage for Stanford defensively, and they play right into the hands of that back four for the Stanford Cardinal.
Six minutes away from halftime. 10 goals scored by BYU in this NCAA tournament so far. 9 of those have come in the second half. So this team certainly continues to believe, and they have the results to show for it. Oh, what a turn. A chance in the box. The shot is blocked. Walbrook has been a bright spark since coming into this match. Leveni Vaca leading it forward into the attack. Out for a corner.
Well, what a touch that was for Walbrook to set up this entire attack, and now for BYU to be able to earn this corner kick, but it is so good. Just opens up her hips. Vaca does well to take the space. It's Walbrook who's an outlet. There's a touch around Evans. Haven't seen that much throughout this game at all.
First corner kick of the match for either team. Kennedy Wesley directing traffic in the back. A grad student, already an NCAA champion for Stanford, hoping to end her career with a shot at another. Cameron Jorgensen replaced Smith-Griffiths in that right back position for BYU. I think the Stanford defense had seen quite enough of Ellie Walbrook just clear the ball up the field out of danger.
Yeah, and the one thing that...
Oh, that's a dangerous ball. Andrea Kitahara a little slow to collect it, though.
Right, but good work, because now can you see this game out? 4 minutes left to go. Just keep possession, move the ball. You've been defending the last 30 minutes, 35 minutes. Haven't really been able to work your way into the attack. And that takes a toll, not only mentally, but also physically. And for BYU, you have to continue to go. You have to continue to work this back line, this defense for the Cardinals.
Cougs ready to go. Warner up to the front, Bailey. taking her time. There's a great ball and a goal! No! Wait a minute! Offside flag is up. Hold the celebration.
Yeah, and I thought initially, Jen, that Walbrook had snuck into an offside position. But all the credit to Stanford because they get numbers back, they get the initial tight pressure, they make it again predictable for themselves. You see the little bit of the hold-up play from Bailey. Walbrook exactly where you want her to be, sneaking in right in front of goal, but she is in an offside position. Well done for Stanford. The back four holding their line, staying tight as a unit, and not conceding this goal late to cut that lead in half. But a really big warning sign for BYU and for their ability. Once they do draw out Stanford defensively, there's going to be space that's going to open up.
In case you were watching, some soccer leagues this season did have experimental replay review rules in place where they could review offside. That is not the case in the NCAA tournament. I expect that will be before too long, but this year it is not. So that is not a call that can be reviewed. It was called offside. Goal will not stand. Two and a half minutes to go in our first half. Two early goals from Stanford. So with the Cardinal out in front, BYU continuing to threaten. Let's take another look here. Is she offside, Walbrook, in the middle of your screen?
Well, no, I stand corrected. She does look like she is onside. Just gets away when the initial contact is made from Bailey. Walbrook is still onside, and that's a tough one because from the initial angle that we had, certainly looked well offside. It's a tough one to take for BYU.
Ball into the box again from distance. Boy, Stanford has been lethal. First shot since the 4th minute, and they do force a save from Hernez.
Well, and it is a vulnerability of BYU because of the amount of numbers they send forward. They do get themselves isolated. Gaps do develop defensively, and we've seen a bit too much time and space for Stanford once they do get into the attack to be able to fire shots from that distance. A bit too shaky for Hernez.
Catherine Paulson, Julia Leontini on for this final minute of the first half for Stanford. And to be clear, still in college soccer, even with experimental rules, you can't review offside. There's some fouls, whether it's a penalty or not, that was allowable, but offside, maybe that'll come at some point in the future. BYU certainly hoping for that after that goal getting called back. Coming up at halftime, we'll take a look back at our first semifinal, Florida State getting past ACC foe Clemson. And we'll look at this quick start that Stanford had in this match. 2 goals, their 2 fastest goals of the season, coming in the first 4 minutes.
Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Stanford Cardinal, 2-0 advantage in the first half. Jen Rockwood said what needed to be said at halftime of the last match when her team was down against North Carolina, 3-0. But Stanford, pretty good record with leading at the half this season. Let's hear what Jen Rockwood has to say. She's with Marion.
Coach, last time, halftime of the UNC game, you wrote a big 75 on the board to show the number of goals your team had scored. What will be the message to your team this go-round?
All right, 79 on the board. We found ourselves in this position before, but I tell you, we played an unbelievable half of soccer other than the first 3 minutes. So I look forward to these girls getting out there. They played some attacking soccer. We showed we're capable of scoring, just got to put it in the net.
You had a lot of success when you expanded the shape and you got your players in some 1v1 isolated situations. Who for your team needs to touch the ball more in the second half?
Well, obviously we got to get Breck involved a little bit more. She's got to get a little bit closer, get the ball in the box. They've got 3 people on Liv Wade when she touches the ball, so we have to just keep moving it and hope it comes off of, you know, us, just our 2-touch rhythm, keep the ball moving, get the ball in the box, and get some shots off.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck.
Good to hear from Jennifer Rockwood, trying to get her BYU team back into this one. Stanford held to a season low 3 shots, but 2 goals have the Cardinal out in front here at the Women's College Cup from Cary, North Carolina. If you can't be here with us in Cary, North Carolina, this might be the next best thing. Of course, we appreciate you watching, but ESPN Images also on hand to really capture the moment so beautifully here so far in this first half. A lot of joy for Stanford, but will it be enough? 2-0, the Cardinal lead after those 2 early goals over BYU. As for their approach in the second half, let's get it down to Marion Crowder, who's with Stanford head coach Paul Ratcliffe.
Coach, the 2 quickest goals on this stage. What do you have to say about your team's first half performance?
Yeah, it was an amazing start to the game, no doubt about it. I think they put on a show, 2 fantastic goals, and very pleased with the beginning. Later on, I thought we were under a little bit of pressure, and we needed to either keep possession of the ball or clear our lines and get it beyond them.
Yeah, you mentioned it. You spent a lot of time in that first half without the ball, but you did an excellent job of limiting quality opportunities. What do you need to continue seeing from your defense in the second half?
We need to hold our back line a little bit higher. We need to stay together as a group and not get stretched. And we need to keep the ball too and get some breathers. Because if we give them the ball the whole time, they have the quality to score. So we have to be smart about that.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck.
All right, thank you.
Jen?
Yeah, good stuff there, Marion. Thank you so much. Great to hear from both coaches at halftime. And we'll see how their respective teams come out. Stanford with the lead with some confidence certainly, but the momentum growing in favor of BYU. And the Cougars have been especially lethal in the second half in this NCAA tournament. 9 of the 10 goals coming after halftime for BYU. Do they have a few more in them tonight? And can they get 2 past a Stanford defense that has not allowed 2 goals in 35 straight matches? Maya Doms leading the Cardinal out of the huddle onto the field. A 5th-year player, one of 2 on this Stanford team who were a part of that 2019 NCAA championship, the last time the Cardinal were at the College Cup. Stanford in search of their 4th NCAA championship. They win this, they get an opportunity to play for just that against the Florida State Seminoles on Monday night for BYU. Cougars made it to the final in their first ever appearance in 2021. See if they have another comeback in them to get back in this game and give themselves a shot at that championship match on Monday. BYU is in blue, Stanford in white with the Cardinal numbers, Cardinal trim. Right off the bat, BYU up into the attack. Ellie Boren. And it goes out for a corner. Didn't have too many corner kicks in the first half, just 1 for each team.
Well, positive start right off of the opening whistle, and this is an area where BYU needs to take advantage of. Send the ball in. You have a height advantage. Shepard can get on the end of it. Folino, Fryer.
It's in the middle of the box. Still up for grabs. Wade Katoa commits a foul as she was trying to go after the ball. Wesley down on the ground after that foul from Wade Katoa.
Yeah, and a collision of those 2 bodies, and Wesley trying to come through with her head. Here she is, just tucks in, and it's Wade Katoa that can't stop her momentum. Though she gets a good chunk of Wesley. Good to see her back up.
Ryan Campbell ready to put the ball back in play for the Cardinal. Allie Montoya started the scoring early in this one tonight in the 2nd minute. Finds an opening. And just as BYU earned a corner on the other end, now we'll see what Stanford can do.
Number 12, Jasmine Ike, taking the corner kick for Stanford.
Freshman Lynette Hernez ready in goal for BYU. And Jasmine Ike assisted on the first goal for Stanford tonight, drives it across.
Just a bit too much on it. Pace to try to find that far side, but it's Ike that took the corner kick. And it's interesting because one of the little changes that we're seeing is Guillaume getting the start. She's a forward, she pushes higher. That allows for Ike to drop in a little bit deeper. And at times next to Maya Doms or just in front of them. Clog the midfield, save her legs at times because she was doing a lot of running, looking to be the outlet higher up the field. It's not getting a lot of possession in that first half outside of the first 2 goals in the opening few minutes for Stanford.
Brecken Mazingo, one of the players that BYU coach Jen Rockwood said we need a little more from in the 2nd half. We need to find her, give her an opportunity. Leading scorer for the Cougars this season. Shot bounces toward the goal, and Campbell has it. Kendall Peterson picks it up for BYU. Goal kick coming here for Stanford. The only change for the Cardinal to start the 2nd half, that one you mentioned, Erica Grillion getting the start and shifting the positioning of Ike a little bit. And it is Shea Harvey, the player who starts the 2nd half on the bench. Shepard. Ike directing things a little more. She picked up that ball in midfield, got it out wide. And there is Grillion, freshman out of Roseville, California. Olivia Smith-Griffiths. Back to her attacking ways from that right back spot, crisscrossing to the center of the field. Good numbers here. Wade Katoa takes the shot. Needs to do better.
But the combination is spot on because they're playing to feet. They're looking for the numbers to develop. That time it is right on top of the 18-yard box. Wade Katoa does a good job of recognizing that the pressure doesn't come quickly. She has time and space to get faced up, takes the shot. Easy save in the end for Campbell, but those are the moments that they have to continue to look for, the BYU Cougars.
Joelle Jung gets it out wide for Buddha. An encouraging stat though for BYU, even though that shot was right at the goalkeeper. Mentioned it at halftime that of the 9 shots BYU had in the first half, none of them were on target. Well, they have 2 here to start the 2nd half, both of which have been on goal. Ball skids through. Doms picks it up for Stanford. She's willing to play a little deeper if needed too to help try to keep possession, keep things connected for the Cardinal.
Well, this is the shift that we're seeing from Stanford, is just playing a bit higher We heard Paul Ratcliffe coming into this second half saying they need to step up their back line, as I was a little bit nervy trying to find Evans from Campbell. But they're not afraid. This is a team that wants to play out of the back, keep possession, and then build with numbers. We didn't see any of that in the first 45 minutes outside of the first 2 goals. And those came in the first 3 minutes. So majority of that game, first half, was played defensively. Now we're seeing them step up their line a bit higher. They're able to possess, keep a few more passes together. What does that do to the BYU Cougars? Does it open up space for them, allow them to attack even more? Just have to have better decision making.
Some contact as the ball eventually winds up out of bounds, but no foul called on the play. Should there have been? Maybe. Yeah, a little jersey tug in the end, too, from Ali Montoya.
Yeah, and that's what's going to happen, though, and there's going to be a little bit of frustration. This is where BYU has to keep their head, because we've seen a few passes go wanting, 1v1 duels that have gone in the favor of Stanford defensively. Plenty of time left to go. Fairly certain that Jennifer Rockwood wrote 79 on the board. 1 goal at a time, as we mentioned that she said against North Carolina. That comeback speaks for itself. Can they do that again?
4 goals in the final 30 minutes. BYU did not get their first goal in that quarterfinal against the Tar Heels until the 61st minute of the match. So do keep that in mind as we go along. If this continues, you just feel like it's coming for BYU. This offense hasn't been held down very often this season. #1 in the country in total goals, total assists. Leading scorer is that woman right there, Mozingo. Just out of reach for Fryer.
Well, that's where Stanford has to be careful, because if they're going to try to attack, gain a bit of ground, they cannot get stretched between the lines. Mozingo just tons of space. Unfortunate deflection takes it away from the goal, but those are the moments that they want, that they'll be looking for.
Wade Katoa is fouled, says Jonathan Weiner. So this sets up a BYU free kick from a pretty good spot.
I think Wade Katoa gets a bit lucky there. Ike stands her ground, puts herself in a good position, and Wade Katoa just turned right into her. Regardless, sets up a dangerous free kick, and it'll be Mozingo that steps right over it.
Well, Mozingo scored directly off a corner kick in that comeback against North Carolina. Here she goes from the free kick, too high. Well, there's an interested onlooker in the stands, I understand, Marion, who you're sitting next to.
Yeah, we've got a winner of the first match, Brian Pinsky, here with me in the stands. Coach, we talked about how surreal of a moment this is for you to be here. You used to watch these games, now you're actually coaching it. What does it mean to be back in that national championship game?
Yeah, it feels great. You know, we were here obviously 1 year ago, and gravely disappointed to be going home after that semifinal loss, and so to take one step further and have an opportunity on Monday night absolutely means everything.
It was a professional performance from your team today. What do you want to see them take into that final game?
Yeah, we'll look at video tomorrow and take away all of our good moments. I mean, you know, we defended pretty well. Obviously, Christina made a couple saves, which she has done, and you and I have talked about it the last couple days. Our team defending has been really good, and Clemson's a good team. They won 18 games, right? Only lost 4. They're a really good team, and they're stingy, and they possess the ball well, and their possession at times gave us some problems, especially in the first half. But you know, Zip's goals change games, and that was a massive goal, right? Gave us obviously a lead, gave us an emotional lift, gave us confidence, right? And then 8 minutes into the second half, Dudley delivered. You don't think that the second goal was a knockout blow, but I think it really did. I mean, all of a sudden we had the ball for long spells of time, created more chances. They had a couple little half looks, but I just said it to my assistants. I think that second goal really was a bit of a knockout punch.
Coach, congratulations. We will see you on Monday.
Yes, we will.
Jim.
All right, thanks so much, Marianne. The shot, BYU has continued to attack. Saw a big save from Ryan Campbell coming out to intercept. Cougars desperate to find that first goal. You heard about how important, how galvanizing that first goal for Florida State was. Brian Penske just saying, what might it do for BYU here if the Cougars can get on the board? Mozingo. Right across the mouth of the goal. The shot at the crossbar doesn't go in. Now you are allowed to look. What we do have for replay review is whether or not the goal crossed the line. And Jonathan Weiner is absolutely going to look at this one. BYU had a goal called back in the first half due to an offside call. That couldn't be looked at. This one can. And what you'll watch for is, does the entirety of the ball cross the goal line? It did not, at least from what the referees were able to see on these replays. That might be your best look. Yeah, it bounces in front of the line.
Yeah, it's not even close. You can see the entirety of the line as well, and there's about couple inches, it looks like, between the line and the ball. But excellent attack, best attack, or not one of them, in the second half for BYU. And right now, if I'm Jennifer Rockwood, I'm telling my team to get Mozingo the ball all the time and take on 1v1 and cross balls into the box.
Well, she's on it again here. Mozingo, 14 goals, 15 assists on the season, leading this high-powered BYU attack. Here she is again. Can they contain her? No, this one's going to be a corner.
And it is a mismatch with Montoya. She is having to drop so deep. There's the last chance. It made its way through traffic, just rifles it, hits the crossbar underneath, bounces out, stays out. No goal for BYU, as we're going to see Mozingo on this near side stand over this corner kick.
Mozingo's ball up for grabs and out of bounds.
But you feel the momentum for this BYU team. They have to continue to keep this pace. Find Mozingo on this right-hand side. Take on Montoya, because that, again, is a mismatch defensively. Montoya excellent in the attack, but defensively against Mozingo, you're going to take Mozingo 9 out of 10 times in that duel. Get her the ball, allow her to get isolated and send balls through.
And she gets it there from the corner as quickly as I've seen. It's a bullet of a ball from Mozingo's foot. Maren Wolf has checked in for Stanford to try to get a little bit of control in this match.
But it's also hard to defend, because those players are having to watch their marks, making sure they're staying touch tight. Some are facing their own goal. So when balls are served with that pace, that type of intensity, so difficult to defend. BYU has to continue to look for that type of attack.
Brecken Mozingo, pretty decorated in her time. He is from Sandy, Utah. As I mentioned earlier, started her career at UCLA, but now really has made herself a home, made herself a name in a terrific career at BYU. 3 goals, 3 assists in this tournament. First team All-American, Herman semifinalist this year. Well, there was a brief moment there where Stanford was threatening. And now the Cougars have it where they want it again. Bourne and Peterson working that far side. Buda doing the defending for Stanford. Stanford with a chance to go in transition here. BYU had a very high line, everybody up close to midfield. Can this possession-based team take those chances? Do they want to, Lori, in a situation like that?
I think they want to keep the ball, and you can hear Paul Ratcliffe scream that to his team. Take the sting out of it, allow some of the clock to tick off, but also just dictate the tempo, control this game. You've had to control the game out of possession. Now can you do it a little bit more with possession, and this is good right now because it's forcing BYU to have to chase, keep the ball, get numbers higher up the field. That's one of the reasons why we've seen Ike drop a little bit deeper for her experience.
Here comes Mozingo again. Stopped this time by the Stanford defense. All the way back to goalkeeper Ryan Campbell it goes. This ball stays in play. It'll lay down nicely for Marin Wolf. Montoya. And Montoya coming from a soccer playing family, keeping this possession alive in the attack for Stanford. Ball in the box. Out of bounds, corner kick coming for the Cardinal. And I talked about that soccer legacy. There's Albertine Montoya, longtime youth coach, but has also coached at the professional level and recently named head coach of the new NWSL team, Bay FC, that will start play in the National Women's Soccer League this next year.
Number 12, Jasmine Ike, to take the corner kick.
Allie's mom, Erin, also played soccer at Santa Clara and in the WUSA, so good soccer lineage there for the sophomore. Here comes the corner kick for Stanford. Up and over everybody's head. Walbrook has checked into the match for BYU, and Shea Harvey has also come back on for Stanford. Walbrook was really dangerous in that first half, had the goal that was called back due to offside. Turned over.
And that ball has to be first time from Wade Katoa to be able to break free.
And Mozingo knows what it's about. She leads Walbrook, but a little too much.
Yeah, just going back to that point, Wade Katoa had a first-time ball right into the feet of Walbrook that would have been able to unleash the attack immediately for BYU. Instead, it gets caught underneath her, takes an extra touch, allows for Stanford to get back defensively, and then a heavy ball over the top that allows for Campbell to come off her line, pick it up. And just a little bit of deflation for both sides. Stanford doing a good job of picking their moments when they can try to get into the attack, create a little bit more possession, but you don't feel that exact same enthusiasm, initiative that we saw against North Carolina in that quarterfinal game. And that's where you have to credit the Stanford team, because they've been aggressive with their approach. Still plenty of time, and anytime Walbrook, she's going to draw so much attention to her. That's going to open up space for somebody else. But this was a team that was on a mission against North Carolina for unanswered goals in that second half, and don't see that direct play, that initiative from somebody to get that goal to cut this lead in half.
Doms had the second goal for Stanford in the 4th minute of this match. Ball does stay in bounds, and that is good news for Stanford and Marin Wolf. Good defending. Smith Griffiths getting back, getting in the path of Wolf. I mean, no shots in the second half tonight. BYU really picking up where they left off to finish that first half. imagine one of the challenges for Stanford, Lori, is you can feel some of the energy has gone out of this game a little bit, and when it has been there, it's largely been when BYU has the ball and they've been attacking. We just showed you no shots in the second half for Stanford. They're still having to do a lot of defending.
Well, the onus is on BYU to push and force the issue to get 2 goals back, to at least tie this game, send it into overtime. And for Stanford, they'll be happy with the way that this game has gone, because yes, there's been 7 shots, and outside of that one that hit the underside of the crossbar, there haven't been a ton of clear opportunities. They're getting into the attack, BYU, but not as clinical as we saw, not as dangerous as maybe we saw in the first half or in that game against North Carolina.
Jen Rockwood looking to create the right combinations out on the field, went to her bench pretty frequently in the first half and is doing so here as well. Rachel McCarthy coming back in, a senior, 5 goals on the season, gives Wade Katoa a break. Mozingo. All the way across and into the gloves of Campbell, who was taking no chances with that ball. I want to tell you about our featured matchups for the Jimmy V Women's Classic on Sunday. First up, number 1 South Carolina visiting Duke. That's at 1 Eastern, followed by number 11 UConn versus number 10 Texas at 3 on ABC. Then over on ESPN, number 16 Ohio State, number 20 Tennessee facing off at 5 o'clock. You can also catch all of the action on the ESPN app. Doms, 2-time All-American in her career, did not earn that recognition this year, but is hoping for more on the team side. Can they get back? Have a chance to win another championship. Mozingo, a sliding stop made by Wesley. Mozingo fires. You can see Mozingo winded at the moment. Really has been involved just about every time BYU is on the attack. Aaron Bailey coming on for Foligno for BYU, and Catherine Paulson making her way into the match, replacing Montoya for Stanford. Kitahara loses it to Smith Griffiths. Walbrook. Walbrook looks like one of those players that is just always saying, give it to me, I'm ready to go. Let me go after it. She's done that off the bench for BYU this season.
Yep, and that's what they need from her. Get her into the box, serve balls in, and one thing that Stanford has done so well coming into this game and throughout this game is that they anticipated those 1v1 duels. So they were willing to get themselves into those situations defensively, but then they always have cover. So if they were beaten, they have another player there to stall any sort of attack for BYU. And it's caused some problems because that is what BYU can rely on. They can go in combination, but they are so lethal in 1v1 situations, and Stanford defensively has cut that out and really limited the opportunities. That's why I say continue to get it wide, serve balls in, get Mozingo faced up, have Walbrook get on the end of opportunities, and they look dangerous as that first half wore on for BYU when they did just that.
Ball boomed upfield. That'll allow BYU to reset.
Well, that just shows that Stanford at this point in time, 20 minutes left to go, are really not interested in building, taking a ton of opportunities to get into the attack, save their legs, get back, stay compact defensively, and absorb any sort of pressure, any sort of attack from BYU. Just launch the ball high up the field, relieve the pressure, and then step up their back line.
Vonnie Brandt with the throw-in for Stanford. Two undefeated teams came into this College Cup. One of them, Florida State, is in the final. Stanford's the other. Cardinal on the attack now. All-American in the back. Laveni Vaca taking care of business. Crowd starting to get back into it a little bit.
Ref, what is that call?
Foul was called, so BYU right at midfield will take the free kick. Not right at midfield, apparently. Has to back it up a little bit before the restart. Good touch out from Aaron Bailey. Wolf on the move. BYU moving faster and up into their attack.
Yep, and as we heard Jennifer Rockwood say, 1 and 2 touch. If you're not going to go 1v1, 1 and 2 touch, keep the ball moving. Tired legs starting to set in for both teams, but defensively, you have to stay tuned in mentally, and that's where Stanford can be vulnerable. If you move the ball quickly, find the 1 and 2 combination, get numbers into the box, force Campbell to come up with a big save.
Zoe Jacobs, Tara Warner on for BYU. 17 minutes to play.
Erica Grillione and number 21, Joelle Jung.
Grillione and Jung back into the match for Stanford. Outside the area, foul called, so BYU will size up this opportunity. Mozingo in front of the goal. Headed toward the goalkeeper. Campbell bravely pulls it down with some contact.
Well, there's all the bodies, and not a ton of pace on that header. But you do see Bailey trying to back into Campbell. She does well to hold her ground, keep a hold of the ball. She's come up big when needed tonight. Making sure she doesn't give up any sort of rebound coming off her line when necessary. Especially through traffic when you have players in and around you.
BYU out shooting Stanford 19-3 in this match. Still nothing to show for it. The nation's #1 offense being shut out by this Cardinal defense. And perhaps you can make the claim Florida State has the nation's #1 offense. By average, they do. Goals per game, points per game. Those two teams may get a chance to battle it out in the final if BYU can find a couple here, but Stanford's defense not allowing anything right now. Yellow card shown on the play. First booking of this match.
Well, Wesley Evans doing such a good job of leading the defense for Stanford. Wesley just seeing this ball out. Late challenge from Walbrook. Deserved yellow card as she pulls down Wesley in the end. Already out of play.
Final 15 minutes on the clock in this one. It's been somewhat of a bend don't break for Stanford. Walbrook picked up that yellow card, hasn't slowed her down any. Stratton got a touch on it to keep it alive. Doms. Leon have to get past Vaca. Vaca's pass intercepted. There's one back. You can see the initiative by BYU every time there's a player in blue around the ball to try to win it. Zoe Jacobs did it that time. Yeah, that's a tough foul. Quick restart for BYU. Not the ball they needed. Does your belief start to wane if you're the Cougars and you just continue to push and try, but you have nothing to show for it? Or can this team that has come back before this season, including in the quarterfinal, continue to believe and fight and find a way?
Well, they can't let their belief wane, because just one goal, we know goals change the momentum, they change the complexity of games. So if they can get one back quickly, then they can have momentum on their side.
Polino Wade Katoa back into the match for BYU. Montoya Ike also back for Stanford. Try to finish this one out.
I think one of the big questions coming into this game for Stanford especially was how are they going to deal with this high-powered offense for BYU? Had they been tested enough throughout the season with a team that sends 7, 8 players forward, variety of ways, as we mentioned, that they can attack, be threatening in the final third, and my goodness, what a performance, what a team performance it has been defensively, the commitment to get back. And this is your right winger, left winger at this point in time, Montoya, who scored the first goal in the opening minute of the game, tracking back. She's been beat a few times in the 1v1 situation, but she continues to get even with the line, the communication staying tight, not conceding a ton of space, and really in the last 20 minutes have limited BYU to any clear opportunities. Just stalled their attack completely.
BYU reached #1 in the polls earlier this season. Marion and I were on the call for an incredible game out in Provo where they took on TCU, their Big 12 opener. They did stumble a little bit there. Chance here, Walbrook! Not on target, but after that stumble, they had a loss in the next game after that draw. It has just been pedal to the metal, coming through, set back again against Texas in the Big 12 championship game, but what a confident goal-scoring team this is.
Well, and this is why the plan has to be to serve balls in from the wide areas into Walbrook. Loses a mark, Evans goes to the ball, she's wide open, 1v1 with Campbell. That one sails wide, but it's an opportunity, and it's one of the better opportunities for BYU in this second half. Serve balls in, make it difficult in these last 10 minutes.
Could have some statistical anomalies if this match finishes with this scoreline. Stanford right now facing what would be a season low in shots. Their season low is 7. They have 3 in this game.
And 2 goals.
Yeah, and 2 goals. And you wonder how different it might be if those 2 goals scored in the first 4 minutes of the match didn't happen. Meanwhile, they've allowed 19 shots from BYU, which is the most that the Stanford defense has allowed all season, but still hanging on to that shutout. Can it hold? Can this Stanford defense bend but not break? College football conference championship weekend continues tomorrow when Oklahoma State takes on Texas in the Big 12. That's at noon Eastern. Then we've got the ACC, Louisville and Florida State. That'll be at 8 p.m. And it all culminates Sunday at noon Eastern on ESPN with the exclusive reveal of the final college football playoff rankings. As we'll know, top 4 teams playing for the national championship. Mozingo. Izzy Stratton up into the attack. The starting center back for the Cougars, number 24. On it here. Take a shot, but not where it needed to be. And really right now it is everybody up in the attack for BYU except for their All-American Leveni Vaca in the back.
Jen, great observation. You can tell that BYU is starting to push. They have moved into a 3-back and really just keeping Vodka in a 1v1 situation at times. Izzy Stratton, the player that they have moved the most into that holding midfield role, she is the one that they are trying to get on the ball more often and orchestrate the attack, and that can allow Jamie Shepard a little bit more freedom in the midfield as well.
Oh, there's no time like the present, Marion. Time is now. The Cougar season on the line. It's been an incredible season. And it's gotten them to their second ever College Cup, their second in 3 years. They've not been shut out but once in one of their 2 losses. That was against Utah State. Smith Griffiths. Mozingo, does she have a moment of magic left in her? Brecken Mozingo. Two players crash down to the ground. Ball still in play though. Walbrook marked closely by Harvey. Jacobs gets some width. Ball on the ground, bouncing, not necessarily easy, but Campbell has it.
But I like that ball. It's on the ground, it's low, with pace, whipped in behind the back line. Campbell has it covered on the near post. Just need some players darting, trying to get a toe on it. All you need is a little deflection. Keep it on frame. Still have the runners, BYU, anticipating that near post run.
Stratton. Kara Warner was the player who served that ball low and hard on the ground last time down for BYU. 6:30 to play. #1 goal-scoring team in the country being shut out in this match by one of the top defenses in the country, the Stanford Cardinal. Stanford can go if they want to. Kitahara to Doms.
Well, we're not seeing Maya Dom's ability that she can create in the attack. Two-way midfielder. She talked about the maturation of her game. Playing more as an attacking midfielder early on in her career, now asked to do a bit more of a defensive role, knowing that's what's going to be asked of her at the next level, but been so smart when she does get on the ball in this game. Keeping possession if she has to play backwards, being an outlet.
Walbrook has a 1v1 here, but it's against Wesley. Those attacking Stanford players, Doms, Ike, having to be defending a lot more than they probably would like, but that's the job that's been asked of them the way this match has gone. Everybody in white defending most of this match. Shot total for BYU now up to 20. Under 5 to play, a spot in the national championship on the line for these two teams. Stanford won it all the last time they were in the College Cup. That was in 2019. BYU was eliminated by Florida State in penalty kicks in the 2021 national championship game. And Stanford content to just defend and let some time run off the clock. BYU still trying to find that belief that has carried them here to this national semifinal. Wade Katoa, the hero in the quarterfinal, had the game winner against North Carolina. 89th minute of that match. Corner kick coming up. Been waiting for one of these to make the difference. The service has been good. It's not going to be Mozingo this time. Looks like Walbrook is going to take it from that far side for BYU. Fourth corner kick of the match for the Cougars. Driven low toward the near post. Stanford defending. Hernez up nearly to midfield out of her goal for BYU. Walbrook going nowhere. Smith Griffiths. What might one goal do to change the feel, the tenor of this match? Stanford doing all they can to ensure that doesn't happen. BYU pressing all they've got forward. Smith Griffiths should have a chance to cross this one and keeps it on the ground. Not a bad idea.
But that's the defending that I'm talking about for Stanford. Anticipating where the ball is going to go, aggressive. They get the deflection. Too difficult with the deflection that they get. Sees its way out of the bounds, and now they can let the clock tick, take a little bit of a breath.
Coverage of NCAA championships continues with the Women's College Cup final on Monday, December 4th. It's at 6 p.m. Eastern on ESPNU. For more information on the NCAA Women's College Cup, be sure to log on to ncaa.com, the official home for all 90 NCAA championships. A rare errant touch from Vaca in the back for BYU. Under a minute and a half to go. Will the Cougars be headed back home to Provo empty-handed? Will the Cardinal be moving on to the national championship game on Monday? Under a minute to go in this match. Looking like a Stanford-Florida State final, one we've seen before. Florida State will have some fond memories. 2 of their 3 NCAA championships have come against Stanford in the final, 2014 and 2018. What a season it's been for both of these teams. We talked about the BYU offense, the Stanford defense. Well, what do they say? Defense wins championships, and tonight the Stanford defense is getting the Cardinal one step closer to that NCAA championship.
Your final score, the Stanford Cardinal 2,
Jen, these championships, these semifinals are so much about taking advantage of moments, and Stanford did just that. The opening 3 moments took their 2 chances, put them away, forced BYU to have to chase the rest of the game, create quality chances, but defensively, that is something that we mentioned coming into this game. Stanford, how good they have been collectively, individually, showed that class tonight against this high-powered offense of BYU, shut them out, and now they're headed to the national championship.
Tough emotions on the other side, of course, for BYU. Their tremendous season coming to an end, but for Stanford, they are moving on. We're going to talk a little bit more about it, so don't go anywhere. Right back here in a moment to Carrie. This one calls for a Stanford celebration. 2 goals in the opening minutes of the match were just enough for the Cardinal to get the win. 2-0 over BYU. One of those goal scorers, Maya Doms, is with Marion.
Maya, you were part of that 2019 national title squad. You haven't been back here since you were a freshman. You told me it feels different. What makes this group special?
I think it's just we're a really young team, and we have no weak spots in our starting lineup. I think we showed that our bench comes off and gives us a lot of energy. But yeah, I think it's just that we have no weaknesses, and obviously we showed that we had the best defense, especially since they showed they had the best offense, but we also showed that we had some attacking mindset. So yeah.
The excitement that I've seen from you just standing here with me, the excitement I saw from you after that goal, walk me through that moment for you.
Ken played me a great ball in the midfield. I was pretty open. I saw that I found the midpoint. I turned. I love cutting onto my right foot and hitting some late shots. So I got myself in my favorite position and just whacked it. And it was unreal. Ali's goal was unreal, and I'm like, wait, my goal is unreal. So yeah, it was just unreal. Those first 5 minutes, I was not expecting that. But.
I think it's safe to say that you probably had the best strike that we've seen all day on this stage. It's incredible what you guys have done, and one of the things you've talked to me about is the mindset of this team. Now that we're shifting into the final on Monday, what will be your mindset that you speak to the team as their captain?
We're playing Florida State. We're the last 2 teams undefeated, so I think we both worked really hard to get here. I think we just need to show our character like we did today. Just get some early goals and then shut them out. And hopefully we could keep the ball a little more, get the ball out of our half. But we got the result wanted, and I think we'll do that on Monday.
Maya, congratulations. We will see you on Monday. Jen?